Hello everyone, Ladislas Moise from thewanderinginvestor.com. So today I'm in beautiful Kotor in Montenegro, and I'm here with my favorite real estate agent here, Peter Square Meter.
That's me. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good to see you.
Nice to see you. All right.
So Peter Square Meter, so we've done a lot of deals together over the years. I've been active here in Montenegro real estate-wise since 2017 or so.
Something like that, yes, yeah.
And today we'll be discussing the pros and cons of living here in Montenegro as an expat, because you've been living here for how long?
I've been here since 2005, so 17 and a half years so far.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So he's a good source of information in terms of the pros and the cons as well.
Yeah.
So Peter, can you give us a bit of an overview?
Yeah, overview in terms of living here, lifestyle, that kind of thing.
Pros and cons.
Yeah, pros and cons. I would say let's start with the pros. The pros are this. This is basically. I brought Ladislas here to one of my favorite cafes by the water in Dobrota, and I work from here. So I just sit here with my phone and I just do a lot of work here, make lots of calls and so on. So this is my office. That's probably number one pro. I think an advantage that Montenegro has over Croatia, for example, which is miles ahead or years ahead in terms of kind of development in tourism, but Montenegro has a big advantage in terms of lots of things to do in a very, very small space, and it's a very dynamically kind of different, So from here we can go, if it's not peak season, but in 20, 30 minutes we're in Tivat. We can go to the beaches at Plavia Horizonti, beautiful sandy beach, nice and shallow, great for kids. We can go to Budvar or Herceg-Novi, probably names that your audience haven't heard of. But they're all quite different places. Or within 2 hours, 2.5 hours, we can get to the ski resorts and we can go snowboarding.
Less. If you're looking at Budva to Kalashin with the new highway, it's more like an hour and a half.
Yeah. So it's pretty quick. I think another one of the big pros is, and I'll get back to my history of why I'm still here, is there's still lots of potential in Montenegro. I came here in 2005. There was a boom going on. I just caught the beginning of the upsurge of the wave at the right time. And my idea was to be here for 3 years. After 2 years, I thought long and hard about where to go next. I was looking for the opportunities. I didn't have the same resources or the get on a plane and go like Ladislas did, but I did my research and so on. And I couldn't think of anywhere better. And I was looking around everywhere, like Latin America or South Africa, wherever it could be, kind of thing. So, and I found that in Montenegro, I still had the lifestyle that I liked, still had the cost of living that I liked, still had the opportunities that I liked, and that was it. So it was kind of pointless for me to kind of sell up here and go and go somewhere else and just start all over, whereas actually starting to embed myself in this market anyway. So that's it. Another pro is, cost of living. Cost of living, although it's risen a lot because of inflation recently, I would say that the cost of living is still low for Europe.
Like this beer will be €3.50.
I think it's $3.50, yeah. So we're actually on a waterside bar in a very popular area, prime area.
At a local place, it would be $2.50.
Yeah, $2.50, and if you're going to Podgorica, you're finding some backstreet bar, you might get it for €2 or even less. So obviously higher margins in this area, but again, for the location, I still think it's kind of quite affordable. So
affordability is definitely a big pro of moving to Montenegro. And then again, it's not just a cheap destination. You can live cheap if you want, but you can also live a life of luxury if you choose to. So you've got Porto Montenegro, you've got Porto Nove, you have Luštica Bay, you have all of these large luxury developments, if that's what you want, with all the brands, the expensive restaurants. But just around the corner, right behind these developments, you can live like a local for pretty cheap. So I think that's something that I personally like about Montenegro, is you have the choice between the two. So Montenegro is a fit for a lot of different types of people.
Yeah, just to add to what you're saying, Ladislas, is that I think that for those who don't know places like Porto Montenegro, Porto Novi, and Luštica Bay, these are actually world-class kind of resorts. For example, Porto Montenegro is the only super yacht marina in the world with a platinum status. So it's way up there. So we just sold an apartment there for 5 million euros, and we sold the guy's brother bought an apartment for 3.5 million as well. So, and I think there's only one penthouse apartment left. So there's that level of luxury here. Also, I used to, because I do some videos and things, and I used to talk about Montenegro becoming a luxury destination. And a couple of years ago, I stopped myself. I was like, well, actually, it is a luxury destination. It's not becoming, it already is. It's got a critical mass. It's got all those things that people want. And again, comparing it with Croatia, I think it's got way more to offer here, especially in terms of new things, kind of like designs that people want. So rather, if you go to, maybe it's a bit unkind in Croatia, you'll have your gingham check tablecloth and a overpriced pizza and kind of average service, and really they're kind of just hoping that you're going to leave a tip and they don't really care about you. Here, they really care, so you find that the service is so much better. The styles of restaurants are the latest because everybody now is looking on the internet, what's cool, what's new, what's Philippe Stark doing about restaurants or whatever it is. So you have great restaurants, kind of cool hangouts, a lot of cool people here actually, it's of now, I'd say, yeah.
Cool. So tell us about the taxes, because that's a big pro.
Oh, I'm not the best person to ask about taxes. Maybe we'll make a cut here, but I mean, the taxes are pretty good. They have just raised, but I think that's an inevitable thing because of the pandemic. So in general, the taxes are 15%. So
between 9 and 15%. Essentially, that's what you pay when you move here on a worldwide basis. So in terms of European destinations, Montenegro is definitely one of the most attractive destinations from a tax point of view. Croatia is absolutely not attractive from a tax point of view. It's extremely bureaucratic and taxes are much, much higher. So moving full-time to Croatia, if you have money, is just generally speaking a bad decision. But moving full-time to Montenegro makes sense, and chances are, depending on where you're from, you will be saving money by moving here from a tax point of view and from a cost of living point of view.
I think one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, what is it like to live here? In terms of, are you bothered by the authorities? And the simple answer is no, you're not. It's kind of, you've got your general obligations and so on, but it's not a nanny state. It's interesting, in the times of the pandemic, for example, it was quite cool to live here, So they had some restrictions, some restaurants and things were closed, but it was quite free and easy, and it's quite a pleasant place to be. And I think a lot of people have actually started to move here as a plan B as well. So if the brown stuff hits the fan again, then they want to be here. They don't want to be in London or New York or wherever it is. They want to be here, sitting by the water, having a beer, smoking a cigarette if they want to, without anybody asking any questions.
Yeah, the levels of freedom here are very high. That's for sure. That's definitely a big plus. And there was a big surge of people moving here during and right after the whole health situation. And now what's interesting, and that's a real shot in the arm for the economy, is the population in the last year grew about 10% because of an influx of Russians and Ukrainians.
Yep, and Belarusians as well, so for obvious reasons. Also, as a result of that, the real estate market has boomed, and also the rental market has boomed. So I think the national figures are around about 40%, and last year that the rental prices have gone up. And I think my experience is that probably in the last couple of years, properties prices have been going up sort of 15-20%. So good return on investment for those people who've got in early. I would say that even though Montenegro isn't necessarily a cheap place, there's cheaper places in Spain, there's certainly cheaper places in Italy that you can buy, but they don't offer the whole package. If you want to compare this, you probably have to go to the south of France to compare it, to have something kind of equally as nice. But south of France doesn't even have all of this either.
It's really sublime here.
So for what you're getting, I think it's still very competitive in price. I remember moving from London, I'm comparing the price per square meter, which is why I'm Peter square meter, and it was a third of the cost to move to Montenegro. So therefore I could buy 3 times bigger, 3 times better, and so on. So
I think this leads us to some of the cons, because you tried to compare Montenegro with southern France, but the food isn't really a plus here.
Do you know what? The food is fine.
He's British. He's English. So no clue.
Do you know what the food is? Let me go back. Let me just say, okay, the food is great. The food is great, but there's not much choice. There's not much variety. That's starting to come. I was in Podgorica, the capital, yesterday, and I see they've got Chinese, Asian restaurants, Mexican restaurants, and so on. A lot of it seems to be like a Chinese version of what the Montenegrins would do. Most restaurants over the last couple of decades, they open a brand new restaurant. Great, that's going to be exciting. What are they going to do? Grilled meat and grilled fish and salads. It's like, oh, really? Can you do something else, please?
Yeah.
It's fine. I remember having a conversation with somebody 15 years ago, complaining about this issue, and he said, look, but if you're here on a 2-week holiday, and if you can have fillet steak and sea bass every single night of your holiday, you'd be very happy. I was like, do you know what, I would be, but I'd like to have a Thai green curry once in a while. So I can get that, but I just need to drive to Budva to get the Thai green curry, or I make it myself.
Yeah, if you're vegan, this is not the right destination for you.
My wife is vegan, and I've got to say, most of the time she's a little bit disappointed. There is food, but again, not much choice. Generally, you'll have grilled Mediterranean vegetables, or the salads, or vegetable risottos, or veggie pizza. Yeah, so. What
about the people? Because you've been here for almost 2 decades. What do you feel? How do you feel about them?
I think the people they come across, I heard somebody commenting about this yesterday, they come across as being quite austere. Normally, especially the men, they're quite big. The women are quite
tallest people in Europe according to ranking.
Yeah. So a lot of is it NBA kind of basketball players anyway. So from Montenegro and Serbia. Yeah, the people tend to look a bit stern, but they're not. You smile at them, they'll smile back, and they go, "Oh, hi, come in, have a drink," and whatever. So they just have a more gruff appearance. Yeah, so
they can start yelling quite fast. So people just need to get used to this. You come to Montenegro, and then you'll be in a shop, and someone's not happy. They'll start shouting at you, but it's just their way of communicating. It doesn't mean they're that angry, and they get over it very quickly. So you can have a shouting match with someone, and then like 3 days later, it's fine. It's just, it's not as polished as it would be in London, for example.
Yeah, I guess we're a bit more kind of PC over there, and we're a bit more restrained.
Here it's just like raw emotions, and people just get over things.
It's more Mediterranean, so they're more emotional. I remember we had a long walk from, anyway, we had like a 45-minute walk with a friend of mine once. That's, to me, is long. And that was each way. And then we saw 2 guys kind of shouting at each other, and he actually spoke Montenegrin, this guy, and he said, look, you probably think those guys are arguing. He said, but they're not. They're just talking about football. they're just having a general conversation about football, and they're just talking normally, but they're just very, what about Messi? He's so much better. No, the other guy's better, yeah. So and that was it. So it looked like they were shouting, but they weren't. They were conversing.
I do a lot of hiking here, because the hiking is absolutely amazing. Approximately, I think, 92% of Montenegro is mountains. So people, when they think Montenegro, they think the Adriatic, but actually most of the country is mountains, packed with national parks. I do a lot of hiking. And when you go hiking, you don't meet a lot of people, because not that many people are hiking, but the trails are quite good. And when you do come across people, they're always offering you cookies, water, etc. If you happen to go by a house and you say hello to people, even if they don't speak a word of English and you don't speak a word of Montenegrin or Serbian, they invite you in, they offer you some drinks. Like, people are very, very friendly in a traditional point of view.
Yeah.
But then they get angry.
I've got a couple of points about that. One is, I remember actually going and for a walk and seeing a couple of ladies, and I saw that they had something in their hand. I said, oh, what have you got there? I said, oh, we've got wild asparagus. I said, oh my God, wild asparagus. I've never even heard of that. Where do you find that? I said, oh, it's all around. Here, have ours. So their first reaction was to give us what they, and they insisted. We took the wild asparagus away. So that was a typical reaction, yeah.
So what type of people are moving here these days? So, for example, your customer base, what kind of clients do you have?
I would say,
in terms of not just, because you deal with a lot of investors, people who come here, they want to buy something, rent it out, maybe spend like 2-3 weeks a year here, the rest of the year put it on Airbnb, whatever.
Yeah.
But people who move here, what type of people are moving here amongst your clientele?
Sure. I would say actually the market's changed a little bit. So the market used to be mainly people coming to buy a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartment to put on Airbnb. They get a mortgage on their property in St. Helens, and then they buy something over here, and then the Airbnb kind of pays for it. That was one type. And it used to be at a certain level, price-wise, maybe up to 150, 200,000 euros. Now, most inquiries start at 200,000 to 5 million. And it's people saying, I want something bigger and I want to move here.
Your agency's doing well.
Our agency is doing very well, actually, yes. So we're very happy with things at the moment. So we're just trying to expand and so on. So I was in Podgorica yesterday interviewing, and so
cool.
yeah, recruiting here. Yeah.
So you say people are buying bigger houses, etc., because they want to move here.
Bigger houses, and there's more of an appetite for higher price things. Now, for example, in Tivat, I did a video with some American YouTubers, and we're looking at apartments in Tivat, which were around about 100,000 euros. And I think we had a choice of 20, 30 apartments to look at. Now there are none left. And now when I'm looking around Tivat, we're trying to find something at 200,000 starting price for a 1-bedroom apartment for something decent. You can find cheaper. We can find property prices below 100,000, but they're not the type of properties that people are looking for. People are looking for maybe new buildings, or they want to have a sea view. They want to have, if it's 2 bedrooms, they want 2 bathrooms. So they want to have the modern amenities. Yeah.
And I think I really want to reiterate this point about all the Russians and Ukrainians moving here, because it's a huge positive for the economy. You have 60 to 100,000 people, essentially, that have moved here from Russia and from Ukraine that are now living here year-long. Traditionally, Russians, Ukrainians, just like everyone else, would just come for summer, etc., and then go back home. But now they're staying year-long, and it's a very entrepreneurial class that is moving over here. So the Russians coming here, you've got remote workers, people that are dodging the draft. So they're trying to do business here. They're working, they're doing renovation works. They're starting businesses, etc. And same thing with Ukrainians who are moving here. It's not Ukrainians that need money. Ukrainians that need money or government support are all going to the European Union. And Ukrainians who want a career and a job, they're going to the European Union. Ukrainians that are coming here, and there are a lot of them, they're all entrepreneurs because they don't need government support, they don't want government support, they just want to do their online work, or they want to start a business here, etc. So for the economy, it's fantastic to have mostly young people, 60 to 100,000 young people. We're talking about a country of
660,000.
660,000, and you've just added like nearly 100K people that live here year-round, that are working online. They're not necessarily paying a lot of taxes because, a lot of the Russians and the Ukrainians, when they earn money online, they don't declare anything here. But they're living here, they're paying rent, they're helping the local businesses, they're paying VAT. Most of them are paying, created a company to be able to get residency here, so they're still contributing to the social security, etc., paying some taxes on their local salary, etc. So for the economy, it's fantastic. So you had essentially an aging population, just like in most of Southern Europe, and now you have 60 to 100,000 young people, mostly a lot with families. The schools in Tivat are bursting. They're even considering opening new schools because the schools are packed. So for the economy, it's fantastic. So if the conflict were to stop, hopefully soon, a lot of them would go back, but many of them would actually stay here. When you go around talking to them, so in the building where I own an apartment, now it's suddenly all Ukrainians and Russians that are renting. And when I talk to them, many of them are saying, we don't want to go back. Like, why would we go back to Ukraine or to Russia where it's cold, etc., blah, blah. Here, life is relatively affordable, not that much more expensive than in Russia or Ukraine. And just the lifestyle is just so much better. So a lot of them will stay here. So it's a permanent, positive shot in the arm for the Montenegrin economy in terms of demographics and for the economy as well. So This is something that I didn't quite realize until I arrived here about 2 weeks ago, and the change compared to pre-war is very visible.
I think adding to that, it's the opposite that a lot of countries suffer. A lot of countries suffer a brain drain, and Montenegro is actually experiencing a brain injection. So now when I'm looking for more stuff, I said I'm recruiting and go like, do you know what? I need to tap into this kind of Russian, Ukrainian, Belarusian, because you've got some very, very smart people.
They speak English.
Great experience. They have a professional kind of attitude towards things. So the local mechanic, I used to go to a local mechanic, and now I go to ones which is run by kind of the Ukrainians and Belarusians there, and they're excellent. So they've been trained by the Germans or the Russians or whatever it is. So they have very high standards, and their business is booming. They're doing fantastic business. So.
Well, the feedback I'm getting from people who do renovation jobs here is that now increasingly they're trying to recruit Ukrainians and Russians because they're more competent, or they're raising the standards compared to local people, because they left, they come here, they have essentially nothing, they need to start a business from scratch, they're very motivated. And then also it's not just Russians, Ukrainians, and people from Belarus, but also a lot of Germans are moving here.
Yeah.
A ton of Germans. So it's a bit different. It's mostly anti-government Germans who didn't like the whole situation in Germany, the whole politics. Many of them moved down here on a permanent basis, so also very good for the economy. And quite a few Americans and Canadians, though a lot less than Germans, are moving here.
Yeah.
And a lot of Turks. So a lot of Turks that don't agree with politics back home, they're moving here. So in many ways, the Montenegrin economy is like the VIX on the stock exchange. When things are going bad in the world, people just come here.
It's true, actually. I've noticed, say, like nearly 2 decades I've been here, that despite kind of downfalls in the world economy, the great financial crisis and so on, things will either plateau or they'll actually spike here. And it can be, for example, we had a wave maybe about 4 or 5 years ago of Turks coming over here. They were anti the regime in Turkey, but also they were the smart ones that said, look, we need to get our money out of the Turkish lira and put it into an asset, but also an asset which is going to grow as well. So on the growing side of things, like I said, in the last couple of decades, I've seen the momentum of how it's grown, how the kind of 5-star kind of luxury tourism has kind of moved to Montenegro. And I can't see that momentum changing for the next 2 decades. I think it's just going to continue in the same vein, which is obviously going to give more offers, nicer restaurants, nicer service. Prices will increase inevitably, but you're coming to a really unique, exclusive luxury destination. And obviously, values are going to increase.
I think we also need to discuss, because people who follow me on this channel typically travel quite a lot, connectivity, Montenegro airports, a bit of an issue, I'd say, for people who travel a lot.
Yeah, do you know what? You're better, because as I said, I should have left 15 years ago, but I didn't. I would say it's not bad. You're normally basically, you're an extra hop away. So you've got 2 airports, which are quite good here. In fact, Tivat, I think, is one of the busiest airports in the whole of the Balkans. Tivat, for a small town, has a busier airport, I think, than Ljubljana in Slovenia. So it's very busy. There were a lot of low-cost airlines coming here, but I think they're cutting back on some of their routes around the world. So some of those have cut back. But I think it's a very simple hop. A lot of my clients from the US, they all fly via Istanbul directly into Montenegro.
It's very seasonal.
Yeah, so
essentially, in summer, it's very well. Montenegro is very well connected, but it's a little expensive because it's seasonal. In winter, Montenegro is not very well connected, but then it's a bit more affordable. Generally speaking, you have to transit either through Belgrade or through Istanbul. Generally speaking, so for people who are constantly traveling, Montenegro can be a little challenging. Personally, I come to Montenegro a lot. I travel quite a bit, but when I come here for the whole summer. So right now, July, August, I'm staying put in Montenegro. I'm not going anywhere. I'm very happy here. This is where I spend all my summers. I can't think of any better place in the world to spend July and August, but it's just I understand that if I I'm not trying to fit in business meetings somewhere else in July, August. It's just I'm being very European.
Yeah.
In July, August, I'm just staying here, not going anywhere.
Actually, on the connectivity, it's interesting because Montenegro, as a small country, it also means that the borders aren't too far away as well. So if I want to, I wouldn't recommend it July and August, but if I want to go to Dubrovnik, it's 2 hours away. If I want to go to Bosnia, Trebinje, so you have Čilipi Airport, which is it's about an hour, about 90 minutes away. I can get to Trebinje, very inexpensive. You go into Bosnia, some great restaurants, very friendly, lovely people.
Bosnia's awesome.
Albania, got to see Albania, so it's very interesting. It's not as dramatic in terms of scenery and so on, but it's a nice place to experience.
It's at a discount.
I wouldn't invest there, but that's my own personal feelings. I think that I found the kind of jewel of the crown in the Bay of Kotor. So I think this is a great place. So, and also, having said that, the north of Montenegro, Kolašin, is also very good.
Yeah.
Serbia. So, for example, as a family man now, my wife is actually Croatian born, but the family lives in Serbia. We can drive to Belgrade in 7 or 8 hours. We can drive to Novi Sad in maybe 10 hours, 9-10 hours. So it's quite easily kind of connectable. If we want to go on holiday, we can drive to Greece or get on a ferry and go to Italy and take the car there. So it's not too bad. It's a bit more effort, but I remember I met a guy who did a platinum course with Tony Robbins, and he spent a lot of money. It was 6 figures. And I said, well, what's the main outtake that you had? He said, well, is the pain worth the gain? And I think it is. Yeah. So if I have to make a bit of extra effort to travel from Montenegro, it's worth it. Yeah. So
fantastic. So I wrote a whole article on the real estate investment market here in Montenegro. There's a link below in the description. And if you're interested in real estate here in the Bay of Kotor, so we're talking Luštica, Tivat, Kotor, Herceg Novi, that whole region, really do get in touch with Peter Skarmeter. He helped me source a few properties, and he also helped me sell a few properties over the years.
Links in the description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Peter, always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, Ladislas. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Make sure to download my free ebook, 12 Mistakes to Avoid When Investing in International Real Estate, which you can find on my website, link below, and feel free to follow me on Instagram @TheWandering Investor. I look forward to hearing from you.